me to the next part, which is today's sharing. And I understand that once again, I must thank everybody for your willingness to do a little switch of time to allow. And I think last week was officially the first night of the trip, and we had a chance to share. And so very quickly, a week had gone by, and now I'm in Taoyuan, which is beginning our second part of our 4-part trip. Now, so as I mentioned last week, that I apologize for not being able to do a lot more content, but this is what I'm going to try. So today I'm going to focus about gratefulness. I think all of us probably heard this word many, many times, and all of us know about the idea and concept of gratefulness. And until recently, I think it has also been on my mind, but it's not as strongly, it's not as stand out from the rest of many, many good qualities. And the reason is this. So on November 6th, Master talks about how fortunate she felt that she has so many disciples that follow the footsteps, and that every disciple, we're all united with one heart in the pursuit of one goal, and that is charity, to do good things for the humanity, for others, for each other. And Master said that our minds are all united, right? We have the same thoughts, same soul, essentially. With the same mind, same effort, we're here to give of ourselves to humanity. This is what Master has been talking about the value of life. So Master talks about, with life, there is value. There's a possibility for a good, valuable life. Because without any life, there can be no value. But even with life, we must make the best use of it. So I want to talk about the importance of this gratitude. You know, the very first thing that Master said was she's grateful. She's grateful that she has so many disciples. And not only that, but she had mentioned that she doesn't have any skills. She didn't have any skills other than the fact that she had fostered many, many good affinities with all the people. And while that is partially true, I think the fostering of the good relations and affinity, that is true. Having no skills is blatantly false. But the truthful part is she did Master did what she had to do, which was to build on top of this relationship, this affinity that she has with all the people. But then ultimately, she's grateful that all the people are willing to follow. It's not like I'm so great, so you're supposed to follow, but rather she's grateful for everybody to follow. And that triggered me to think about the importance of gratitude. So let me tell you about this simple story. And these are all true stories that I've encountered these past few days. So if you had heard me talk about this before, and I'm sure you probably don't, it's very interesting to be the timekeeper or the schedule keeper for the trip. There are many factors in play, including, most importantly, time. Okay, the time restraint, the constraint of time is very, very real, and the constraint of Master, which is her energy, her willingness, the necessity, and all of this. Okay, so that is foremost the most important factor, right? Time and also Master. These are the two very key importance, and then everything else takes secondary, right? They're secondary priority, right? They're important, but nothing beats these two. I'm out of time, and what does Master need? What does Master want? Okay, so that day, on that fateful day, where because of a very special video conferencing with the Philippines, the entire schedule was pushed back by 30 minutes. And yes, people gain time and people lose time. Okay, so the team that did the video conferencing, they needed that additional time because obviously it was the Philippines and the disaster was going on. The disaster relief was going on. And Master cared about this entire effort and wanted to hear and wanted to know about the efforts and also the direction set for everybody. So I can understand that it going beyond the 30 minutes is actually allowed or actually okay. I didn't put a lot of effort to stop them, because if it were a sharing, about how a volunteer had grown over time, I would probably cut that off because it's a sharing. But this is compassion relief. This is disaster relief. This is charity. And time has to take secondary to the need and the want of master in this case. In this case, it's charity. In this case, it's disaster relief. So even though the time was over by 30 minutes, and yes, we're all like, you know, people on fire. We're like, oh my goodness, the time is over, but not by 10, not by 15, but by 30 minutes. It's a huge deal. But we still let it happen. We didn't, you know, strongly cut it off. We know we couldn't. Even if we do that, we just get a very, you know, harsh look from the master, because we shouldn't do that. Anyway, so with that, somebody had to give time. And apparently the next groups, one of the group is from Taiwan, the other one is from the US. Apparently from the next group, they're going to be affected. Now, it just in Taiwan, they actually already gave up their time, and they were only allotted very small, brief time, which is about 2 minutes, You see, we're cutting down so fine that even 2 minutes is something that's on our schedule. Like, yes, you get 2 minutes. Yes, you get 30 seconds, so and so. So this Taiwan group, I was explaining to them, I'm really sorry that the Philippines, you know, the video conferencing is going over time. And I explained to them that if we, you know, take a little bit, like we give off 30 seconds, and then they give off 30 seconds, and then you give off a minute, and then they give off 5 minutes, then together we can make up for the time that was lost due to a very important cause, which is Philippines. And so I was explaining all the logic, and obviously that logic didn't work for them, because to them, they were the people that were unwillingly losing their time. You were taking away my time, and then you're explaining to me how it was, you know, I'm taking away your time, right? So it was very, very difficult. I mean, trust me, they're all bodhisattvas, and I love them all. But on the issue of negotiation of time, it's black and white. You know, I need it, and you don't like it, but I'm gonna have to try to tell you, please forgive me. And they choose not to forgive me. So it was very difficult. Okay, and I don't blame them. You know, they don't forgive me, and I don't blame them. So I explained to them, and they insisted that even though their 2 minutes were having to be given up, that they insisted that they want to have the full 2 minutes, and that they want to do more things, even after I explained all of that to them. And then they told me, did you know that I came today deliberately, purposely, just for this? And I explained, I'm very sorry, and I understand your loss. When in fact, to them, it's impossible for me to understand their loss. And I would agree with that too. But I explained to them, did you know that by doing this, you're also affecting the people beyond that, beyond your 2 minutes? And, you know, most of the people began to settle down. Okay, it's not that they don't understand. It's just that it's very difficult to accept. And I said, do you know the group after you are the US group? And they also came here with this, you know, deliberate purpose trip to come here. But their journey takes a lot longer than your journey coming here. And not only that, they had to be quarantined for 2 weeks, plus 1 week of self-confinement, 3 weeks in total, plus the air flight journey that took them here. That was about 12 hours. And then they get less than 3 hours of master's time. When I explain to them, put that into perspective, they can be at more ease. The Taiwan team calmed down. The Taiwan team can feel that, okay, I see your point, that they are here and their time is more precious, even though I don't like that my time is being taken away. But I see that They need it more than I do. So then that first hurdle is passed. While they're all lining up, the American team and the Taiwan team, I deliberately said to the American team that, did you know that out of the grace of the team here, that we have this today slot? They gave up their time because they know that you came here with all this journey, with all this quarantine time, just to see Master. And they're very touched. And that's why they're willing to give up their time. When the American team heard this, they were so overjoyed and they were so touched by the willing sacrifice of the Taiwan team. And I said to them, all they need are these 2 minutes from you, if you're willing to let them say their things. And the US team was, of course, we couldn't have asked for more. Please do. We're so grateful for the time that you have given us. And when that happens, the Taiwan team took an entire different turn, that they were praised, they were appreciated, that no one is now taking away their time, but rather they are appreciated for giving up their time. And so then they came back and said, of course, look at you. You came back just to see the Master. We really appreciate, and we this is something that we would do too, but except we're all very fortunate. We're grateful. Now, it seems to be one happy family again. Everybody now stays and goes into the room, waiting for Master to come out. Master slowly walked out. Before she can reach her desk, she was stopped by mountains of people. Well, there was already several groups of people. That path, even though there was about less than 10 meters, but it always takes, 20 minutes to walk, because everybody stayed there and they all want to get a little bit and they want to talk to Master. So while she came out, it was about maybe 7 or 8 steps, but she could take one step and rest for for a few minutes. But the first person Master encountered, was someone who had just lost her daughter. The daughter was a shining star in her family. She went to a very prestigious college and she took her own life. And this sister, after hours of talking to other masters of the abode, obviously more calm. But when she saw Master, it was beyond her control. So she let out this cry. She began to sob. She couldn't control herself. It was one of the sight where you couldn't bear to see. And that's when I got it. At that moment, while the American team and the Taiwan team were all there waiting for Master, I turned to them and I said, we should be grateful because you have your 2 minutes, you have your 3 hours. But did you know, for her, the mother who had lost her loved one, she got no time but to meet Master in the middle of the path. At that moment, everybody's gratefulness and gratitude goes beyond the chart. And I'm sure, and I'm willing to bet, that they are willing to give up their time just so that the grieving mother, would be able to have more time with Master. That's the power of gratitude. Without this gratitude, how would you be able to see beyond what you need? Because you're grateful for what you have. That's when you're realizing that I can do more for others. If you are not grateful, then you always think about that 2 minutes is not enough. Because you're not grateful, you will be thinking about, I need more than 2 minutes. Don't take away my 2 minutes. You can't go beyond my 2 minutes. But when you are grateful, you begin to see more than just your 2 minutes. You begin to see that others will need your 2 minutes because they have none. That's the power of gratitude. But we don't get that until we see sorrow, until we see sadness. That is the absolute worst part about humanity, is that the best comes out only when the worst had came. Could it not take a mother that lost her loved one, for us to realize, yes, we are grateful for what we have. Yes, we're grateful for 30 seconds, because it shouldn't take a grieving mother for us to realize how grateful we are. So that's a very simple story to share with you all. Now, I'm a little bit over time, but I want to share with you the second story. It's the next step from there. So that is, that story is done and over. So today there was another story. And so there's this new Jing Hall, and there was constructed, and so snails, right? A snail, where the snail is carrying a very much bigger shell than the body. Okay, and so there's pressure and there's burden, but the team came today and the team shared their stories about how they're going to grow and how they're going to shoulder this responsibility. And while they're saying, they share this story where they plan a musical festival and they invited many people. But as it's a very, very new Jing Hall, they lacked many things. The most important thing in a musical festival or a musical concert is, you might think, instruments, performers, or what? No, they need chairs. They don't have chairs. Okay, that's how new it is. Okay, the halls are decorated, the walls are decorated, but they have no chairs. So the person in charge said, we're going to set a goal. We're going to get 3,000 people to come. So we're going to borrow 3,000 chairs. Now, she said, the moment she said it, she shared today that the team did not question, did not doubt that 3,000 should be our goal, and 3,000 is something that's attainable. So even though to them it's a huge step, but they felt they need to set the goal at 3,000. So everybody, and she was very touched. She said to herself that the moment that they raised 3,000 as a particular goal, no one questioned it, and everybody said, yes, we can do it, right? So they moved toward that goal, and they went to borrow 3,000 chairs. Okay, these plastic chairs, and they are going to line them up. On the day of the performance, it was raining hard. It wasn't on the outside, but they have some areas where it was partially outside. But anyway, so the chairs got wet and all of that. But they began to worry because with this huge, heavy rain, people wouldn't come out. And so you wouldn't have a huge shortfall. In the morning, 10 o'clock, it began to rain very hard. They began to pray. They began to pray very hard in a very sincere way. All of the staff, all of the people that are on the team, they began to pray and pray and pray. And by 12 o'clock, unbelievably, the rain got harder. It rained a lot harder. And the people were like, they were defeated. Okay, they were like, oh my goodness, were we not, sincere enough? We heard all the nice stories about how if you pray, the rain would stop. It didn't. It rained even harder at 2 o'clock. And now it's noon and it rained even harder with no stop in sight. What are we going to do, right? So some people, they were sort of feel defeated, like, oh no, we hear all these stories from overseas, how they were so sincere and the rain stopped. Why didn't it stop? Is it because we're not good enough? Is it because or that? And then by 2 o'clock, by 1 o'clock, people began to come in. The rain didn't stop, but people began to come in. And by 2 o'clock, the rain didn't stop, but people fill up the 3,000 seats. And all the group, they were ecstatic, right? Why? They were so grateful that it rained. Otherwise, you have 6,000 people and have no seats. And that's when the gratefulness turned. That's when they turned into gratitude. And that's what they shared today. They shared that they were so grateful that the rain came. Otherwise, they would have so many people without seats. Now, it's just one way to see the story. But for them, it's a journey of up and down. Are you willing to endure through the challenge? Are you willing to be united and unified and being harmonious even though the things aren't going your way? Imagine all the people are praying, and you hear all these stories about praying being working, but it doesn't work. It gets harder and harder, and everybody was defeated, but they didn't stop. And then when they began to see trickling hope, they continue at it, and it worked out. And then they became grateful. And I think that always tells us that do not lose your hope. And even if it's, even if it's raining, even if it's only 500 people come, we should still not lose hope. We should all be grateful. And that's the power of gratitude. And that's something that we should always have, to turn our life around, to turn it so that it could be more positive, to turn it so that we could spread it to other people. And I think that is the one thing that is the hardest to get today. People are so rich with materials, with all the resources, that it's hard to be grateful. So let us now bring back the power of gratitude. You and I start from this path, and it will naturally lead us to the very next step, which is to be able to feel this contentment and to be able to feel the understanding of each other, and then to accommodate everybody else. That's why Master always say gratefulness. Okay, that's my sharing for today. There's more, but see, I only used 9 pages, but there's more. But all these stories, when you hook them up together, it's really, really touching, and it's really, really warm. So follow us on the cloud, okay? You could hear all these stories, and you could also follow real time on Dai TV, and you could also follow real time, with this, cloud programming. Essentially, you would know all these stories. But if you can't do that, then at least tune in every week this time, and I'll do my best to share the stories with you. Thank you.
And Brother Joe, for wondrous story. How we wish the time could be longer. Actually, I should apologize for taking up Brother Joe's time in the early stage. 真的是 time is truly very cruel. Okay, let us invite our sister Tamy to share. She'll be sharing on our Master Tzu stories. It's a good refresher for us because we have done this, I think, last year. Okay, Gan En. Okay, over to you, Sister Tamy. Gan En.
Okay, Gan En, Sister Jing. Okay, a very good evening to Brother Joe, or brothers and sisters. Tonight, I would like to share on the episode 24 of the Great Dharma Master Tzu Chi. And in fact, some of you may have heard my sharing this year on the 1st of May. So, but I have done some modification for this presentation. Okay, there are total 3 scenes that I would like to share, reflect, and connect it to Dharma in our day-to-day life. Master Tzu Chi is heading back to Mount Tiantai, which he left for 10 years ago. Witnessed by Prince Jing, his concubine said to Master Tzu Chi, "To fulfill my master wish is our mission." Often mention master gratitude to the Buddha, dedicating to the Dharma. So let us connect this scene 1 to COVID-19. Buddha hearts and master mission as our mission. Adopt plant-based diet to end this pandemic. And in the Life Wisdom March 26, Master urged us that we must repent to the heaven and harbor gratitude to our Mother Nature. Despite the MCO started on 18 March this year in Malaysia, great love doesn't cheat. Tzu Chi continued on his effort to relieve suffering. We provided DIY face shield to clinics and schools, cleaning up of Sungai Buloh Hospital wards, partnering with UNHCR to provide cash assistance to more than 10,000 refugees, K1K charity program, fundraising, and etc. I am grateful to my home brother to allow me to join the team to do the DIY face shield at Jing in March this year during the EMCO. See, everyone abided to the SOP, even taking pictures. We do have the social distancing and wear our masks. And I'm also very grateful to my home brother that he finally agreed to progress as uniform volunteer end of last year, even though he had participated Tzu Chi volunteering activities since year 2016 together with me in recycling and sending computers to needy. He joined the team to do cash distribution to non-Malaysian during MCO, whereas myself was assigned to be the team lead for phone assessment in our community. Both of us also participated in the K1K program, also known as We Are One Family program. That is 3 months cash relief to the local Malaysian who financially affected due to COVID-19. And in the early last year, my home brother vowed to adopt plant-based diet to curb climate change and for health benefits after attended the sharing by Professor Lucy and Dr. Eddie Chan. And during the Recycling Open Day this year, September, my home brother joined the team to promote plant-based diet to public. And I am truly grateful to my home brother and my girl, 10 years old girl Isabel, that we can participate in city volunteering activities together. And in this year, early April, my girl Isabel told me that she wished to adopt plant-based diet immediately instead of 2 more years later. And I'm really grateful to Master Chen tell story cartoon series that make my girl awaken quickly. She doesn't want to have the bad retribution, just like the story of the misfortune of a woman and the educated man and kitchen god. Do we remember SARS and MERS? It is also known as coronavirus. I have to repent here that I don't have any feeling for these two outbreaks in year 2002 and 2012. Why? This is because it doesn't affect Malaysia. And second, it is because I hardly follow the global news. I started to have concern and learn more about global issues when listening to Master Shin Fasia, watch live wisdom, and attend volunteer training. And this is for us to contemplate. Do we think this is true or it is just a coincidence? And then the Spanish flu happened in year 1918, lasted for 2 years, in total 3 waves, 500 million people infected, and 50 million deaths worldwide. In year 2018, US established this global virome project. It is a project 10 years collaborative scientific initiative to discover unknown zoonotic viral threats and to stop future pandemics. What is zoonotic disease? It is a disease that transmitted from animals to human, and this COVID-19 is a virus transmitted from animal to human. Estimated scientists discover over 500,000 of animal viruses that are capable of transmission to humans. Indeed, our Master Cheng Yen already told us there is only one wondrous solution to end this COVID-19 pandemic. That is to urge everyone to repent and adopt plant-based diet. And what is great repentance? It means to change our mindset, behavior, and put it into action in our day-to-day life, that is to shift to plant-based diet. When we can adopt plant-based diet, it means we are grateful to our mother nature because this simple act is the faster way to curb climate emergency. Now we move to the scene 2 at Xiu Chen Temple, Mount Tiantai. It is a conversation among 3 disciples of Master Tzu when one of the disciples is sending medicine to their master. Master Tzu had become weaker. However, he was also more diligent each day, seized his time to work, leaving very little time to sleep, expound the sutra and writing the Lotus books for months. The scene 2 is very similar to our Master Cheng Yen frail body condition due to the law of nature aging. Recently in Life Wisdom, during the tour in Taiwan for year-end blessing, Master shared to her disciple that her eye vision is blurry. Despite the nature of law, Our master is always having a clear mind and working very diligently with global volunteers on the worldwide relief aid and happenings. Our master has dedicated her life to pave the wondrous Lotus Sutra in Tzu Chi as a stable and straight path for everyone to walk with different capabilities to walk this living Bodhisattva path to end the unspeakable suffering of sentient beings. Firstly, we need to comprehend mindfully the fundamental of Four Noble Truths and 12 links of Psionic existence to ensure we can walk this living Bodhisattva path successfully with deep faith and to put it into action through 6 parameters. And all these are great Dharma and true Dharma in one vehicle. Let's view the law of universe in this severe global pandemic. The cause is COVID-19. The condition is the meat market. This COVID-19 has affected total 244 countries and territories as of today. The consequences are some people got affected and recovered, some dead and some not affected yet, but we must always stay vigilant. Looking at this 6-month data comparison, the death rate and affected people rate is keep increasing. A University of Washington global health experts say the United States could reach a corona death toll higher than the 1918 Spanish flu as the virus continues to spread at a fast rate. Now we reach the last scene 3. Master Tzu Chi asked his disciple, which one of you can vow immediately to give your life in exchange for enlightenment and for delivering all living beings? No one dared to reply and muster up the courage to say, yes, I will do it. Does it really mean that we need to sacrifice our life to reach enlightenment? Enlightenment also means we are able to let go the 5 poisons: greed, anger, ignorance, doubt, and arrogance. Also our attachment to affliction. Let go our desire for gain and loss. Let go of ourselves to be non-self to serve others. Through helping others, we can achieve enlightenment. One of the sutra was stated in chapter 1 of the Sutra of Infinite Meaning. They are able to give up all that is hard to give up, such as wealth, wife, children, and kingdom. And this is very similar to the medical frontliner that provide care to the COVID-19 patient. Tzu Chi devoted volunteers, either their wife or husband, supported their spouse or children in contributing their precious time, money, and effort in achieving Tzu Chi missions. To a break in pursuing material wealth with a contented heart and focus on pursuing the spiritual wealth. The next sutra verses sounds like this: never begrudging anything, internal or external. Their head, eyes, bone marrow, and brain were all given to others. This is very similar to the silent organ donation, including brain and skin, and bone marrow bank in Tzu Chi, Taiwan. Master advises that never forget and always remember that year, that person, that event. And in year 2015, it was my first time watch the sign. I am to be silent. Another thing that I will never forget is this book entitled Master Cheng Yen, Love and Mercy. I was crying non-stop when reached this part with a story of one care recipient, page 41. Having a deformed body is not real suffering. Real suffering is being deformed in mind and character. Most of the disasters and calamities in this world are created by the people who have complete body and limbs, but incomplete mind and spirit. I am not a cripple when compared to the true cripple of this world. Here, I would like to share my personal experience during my volunteer progression in year 2016, which I treated that as my learning curve to eliminate my bad habitual tendency. When I share this incident again with my home brother, he doesn't remember it at all. Okay. I joined my home brother to deliver computer to Tzu Chi care recipient children. When he was setting up the computer, I normally interacted with the care recipient family about climate change and the plant-based diet. And there's one time I still remember clearly that when we are about to both of us were in dispute. I cannot really recall for what reason, and most probably because of certain worry being unhappy delivery. However, appointments has fixed with the care recipient. So eventually both of us managed to calm our minds and focus on the delivering of the computer. When we witness the happiness of the children, when they receive the computer, both of our hearts were filled with much Dharma joy, and we apologized to each other thereafter. Ever since this incident, I think we both never have any dispute anymore while we are delivering computer to care recipients. You may ask me, how about now, especially when we are at home? Honestly, sometimes we do have the subtle dispute and affliction, but very quickly we both will realize it and we will apologize to each other instantly. And over 100 plus computers delivered since year 2016 until now. And it is still ongoing even though during CMCO in Malaysia now. And what has inspired my own brother to persistently prepare and deliver the computers to the poor, to the doorstep of the care recipient children all this year? He has a pure intention to benefit the needy children and also uphold Master Cheng Yen advice. That is, the right thing, just do it with the right direction. So while we do, we learn. While we learn, we realize. When we realize, we gain a beginning and achieve enlightenment. Let us view the 5 types of eye of the Buddha teaching. The first is physical eye, given by our parents. Second, heavenly eye, need not travel around, yet one could know the worldly news through the advancements of technology. Third, Dharma eye, knowing the cause and condition, consequences and effect. Using Dharma eye to see what kind of retribution that sentient being encounter in the world. 4 elements of nature in balance, fire, earth, water, and wind. With Dharma eye, we know what are the causes for natural and man-made disaster that cause unbearable suffering. According to CNN, the Amazon rainforest has lost the equivalent of 8.4 million soccer fields over the past decade due to deforestation. It's also equivalent to losing the 4 states of Connecticut, Hawaii, Massachusetts, and New Jersey. And 4th is the wisdom eye. It is to discover and understand that everything is back to emptiness, not to be calculative, attached, no fighting for power, name, status that cause much bad karma. See through all these true principles. And Buddha eye encompasses these 4 types of eye. Buddha understands all true principle and the law of universe. If we could really be more mindful, closer to our pure nature, we could achieve these 5 types of eye too. We have learned the 5 types of eye. Now let us see the next few slides of this person. What types of eye do they have? Bill Gates say, the future of meat is vegan. In year 2012, he invested in the vegan-based company called Beyond Meat. He said, going vegan would have huge health benefit and be a sustainable choice for the planet. In year 2013, there is no way to produce enough meat for 9 billion people by year 2050. And in year 2085, Bill Gates say the next virus outbreak, we are not ready. And it is true now. And Greta Thunberg is a school girl climate change warrior. She said, I'm vegan. I don't eat animal products. I don't use any animal products because of ethical, environmental, and climate reasons. In a recent interview, Greta explained that she persuaded her parents to go vegan by stretching that their refusal to make the easy switch was stealing her generation future. Her dad is now fully vegan, while her mom is 90% of the way there. Let us watch the live wisdom short video clip by our master dated 6 November 2020.
No sound.
Oh, no sound. Okay. Okay, maybe I skip this part. I don't know how to. How?
Can read it. Can read the subtitle.
Okay, read the subtitle. Okay. Okay.
没有呢，大家深深的去体会到，说了是没有用的。这个时候，非说不可，非恕不可。但是我也知道，非说在我的责任呐、非说不可。几十年来压抑的，无法说。知道说了没有用，但是这个时候，我的责任不能不说。说了有用吗？知道不大有用，很难。我就会感觉，这就是我们的人生啊！为什么那么苦？为什么天底下那样不能平安呢？天灾呀、人祸啊，现在世间真的是看到了，都很令人担心。期待各位菩萨是师父，期待人人成菩萨，人间菩萨叫做结有情，人人都可以成菩萨。觉悟啦，咱来了解生命的价值，咱的价值，甲被杀被吃的，那他们也是生命的哀嚎的苦痛，总是呢彼此总是还期待各位菩萨，我们互相相劝假如是还在荤中呢，少吃一点。最好是不吃啦。
Okay, Gan En Master for the advice. Okay, if the world has seen a scary future with the emergence of COVID-19, the future of our planet in a 3 to 4 degrees Celsius scenario takes us to an entirely different level of uncertainty, including in terms of health. Together, we can do it. We can change our eating habit or eating diet start from now, start from you. Do not let our stomach become the graveyard of all animals. Okay, Gan En for your time and listening.
Thank you, Sister Tamy. This is a very loving story about. I remember you sharing with us before about your home brother sending off and gifting and helping them with the computer and how the journey with him. And today, I think we also heard from Sister Shu Qing about his home brother, her home brother, how their interaction. And I think that indeed it's a journey. that this is the cultivation. It is oftentimes the hardest part is to cultivate with somebody so close, and they know everything about you, and you know everything about them, and how easy it is to cultivate around them. And indeed, that is the true cultivation. So it is easier to be alone in the group of, to be alone in the abode. It is much easier, but these problems don't come and find you as easily. But if you're at home with your loved ones, with your husband or wife and your children and your parents, then it seems that the problems can find you easier. And so I do think that, you know, my heart goes out to, although, well, not my heart goes out, but I do see that it is a humbling experience. But what I do want to also go back to Master Tzu Chi, the couple of scenes that Sister Tamy shared with us. At first, Master Tzu Chi was already feeling very ill and feeling very weak, but still maintain the willingness and the willpower to continue and to write the books for the Lotus Sutra. And there was a sentence that was mentioned when Master Tzu Chi asked his disciples, "Are there none of you that are willing to sacrifice and give of your life to be enlightened?" And I think that if you ask us, you know, in our room, in this room, I think you pretty much get a good proportion. You know, you maybe get 60% or maybe even a bit higher to be willing to give life just to be enlightened. But I ask myself, if I were presented that question, what would I say? Would I try to cling on to my life in the hope that actually it is life that gives us the opportunity to enlighten ourselves as well as helping others, or giving up that life so that we can be enlightened ourselves? And I don't think there's a right answer. I think it goes much bigger than that. I think it tells you about the giving of your life as part of it. And I saw that it was also written that it was actually more talking about also the giving up of certain things about yourself, not just about the life. But if ever it came down to the choice of, are you willing to give your life for enlightenment, what would you do? And I think it would be something that we all need to, you know, we can think about this. We can be pensive about this and think about, if I were presented this path, am I willing to give up on my belief about a certain journey, or am I going to take the other certain journey? And I think it's always comes down to choices. And the choices are based on the accumulation of the wisdoms that we have experienced before. And I think that's what's ultimately going to guide us. And that is why I think, depending on, you know, all the terminologies, I think as a lawyer, you probably would get this contract done in a very specific terminology, right? You would tell, please define life. Please define giving up life. Please define enlightenment. You know, you could do all of that just to make sure. And then you would find out that, you know, what we're supposed to do. But ultimately, I think if I were presented that choice, let's not talk about who presented me this choice, but I would first of all think that, one, I think that I am giving off my life right now to help, to do what I can do to help. And I'm also doing my best to be enlightened this way as well. I don't think, quote unquote, giving life is a one-step thing to get you to enlightenment. But I think this journey that we're in right now is already giving off of our lives and then reaching enlightenment at the same time. I think we are on that path already. We are on that path. We are already embarking on that journey that Master Tzu Chi said, ask of his disciples while no one wanted to do. We are already on it. Whether or not you deliberately make that choice, but you're already on it. You already made the choice. Maybe not now, maybe not yesterday, but you made it already. That's why we're here already. And I think we are on that path of giving up our lives so that we're willing to exchange that for enlightenment, and we're on it. So that's why asking this question is already, too late, because it's almost like, you're asking yourself, do you want to be single when you're already married with 3 kids and 5 grandchildren? It's already kind of late, because we already make a choice, to be honest. So that's what I think about. I see that question and I ask myself this question, and then I go a little bit deeper from that, and I think that we're already on that path, because we already said yes. We already said yes, and that's why we're here. If we didn't say yes, we would still probably be overlooking, and we'll still probably be pondering and thinking about, is this what I want? But I think the fact that we're here means that we already chose yes in the past and previous lifetimes, and now we're just fulfilling that path. Okay, so thank you very much. And thanks to Sister Tamy for your wonderful sharing. And thanks to everybody who came online today. We're a little bit over time, but it's always, always nice to see everybody. And even though we cannot see each other in our normal time, it is still the Vulture's Peak nonetheless. Whether it's day and night, it's the same peak. Whether it's day and night, it's the same Dharma. And whether it's day and night, it's the same family. So thank you very much.